Well, that's not going to work.
Why?
No, it works for now. No, it works.
You can hear.
I can
You
hear
can hear me
fine.
though, right?
I can hear you really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, great.
Sound good, loud, and clear.
Man, you sound like a champ.
Right there.
Hello, and welcome to Tribal Research Specialists, the podcast, where we will be talking about important things. That's not going to work either. Hello, and welcome to Tribal Research Specialists, the podcast, a podcast dedicated to chatting about. Hello, and welcome to. Nice, rich.
Attacked.
Nice, rich, deep audio. People love that. They love that.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're doing
I
it.
need it. It gets the people going.
I can do some post-production and get it. It sounds
What do you
good
mean,
though.
does it
I'm not
sound-
gonna say. I'm not gonna say it doesn't sound good. It sounds good. It sounds good.
I mean, but what would my headphones being plugged into the mic change in the sound?
Oh, nothing.
Okay.
Just that you could hear yourself.
So this is a moot point.
It is. The point is moot. The point.
So let's
is
just
moot.
move on.
Moving on. Yeah, I want you to listen to something. I want you to listen to this.
I need to academic smudge before we do this.
No. Yeah, you need a smudge with someone's old thesis that nobody reads. Is burn that up. We're gonna smudge with the thesis, an old thesis. What is
A
that?
Thesi.
Thesis.
This is a crow. This is a little crow language manual.
Oh, a cheat sheet. Hey, that's a good. Okay, where'd you get it? Where'd you get the cheat sheet? Did you find it on the road? At an open house? You cut out, so I couldn't hear you if you're saying something.
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, well, I asked you a question. God darn it! Where'd you get it? Where'd you get the pamphlet?
It's one of those summer language
Oh.
institute things.
Oh, okay, you didn't get it during a diabetes walk or a fun run table.
A diet. I got it actually at a diabetes awareness bazaar.
And
You know,
don't
for
tell
all
me.
those people who don't know about diabetes.
Yeah. Followed by a native fashion show. Those are taking off.
Okay. All right, let's start.
But that's a good one, though. I think it's a good one. That needs some banter. We'll hit it later. But I want you to listen to this.
Okay, listening.
I want you to listen to this, and I want your take on it. Are you ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
I can see where deeply rooted cultural people would say to give it personhood would imply that we understand it, and it kind of has this implication that it's like us, and I can see them getting kind of frazzled about that. But from a law point of view, I get it. I totally get it. And I almost think that's the way it was. That's the way they used it. They're using it as a form of control and power. Because if you go in there talking cultural stuff, they're not going to get you.
Uh-huh. Right.
Hear that?
Yeah, what was that all about?
That was you.
I got that, but what the hell am I talking about?
What are you rattling on about?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So this is cool. This is cool because, all right. So this is related to the thing you had in your hand, the pamphlet about language. Been a lot of efforts, revitalize language, revitalize cultural pursuits. Anything you put revitalize, we're going to revitalize a method of revitalization, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But I think
Yep.
he said something pretty important because we're talking about personhood of a river in that conversation. If you remember that episode 31, personhood. rivers. And you brought up this good point. I think that relates to a lot of things I wrote this one. Well, no, I'm not gonna say it. Anyway. So it relates to this. There is a lot of things about Indians trying to do Indian things. Do we really understand it well enough to speak as an authority about it?
About Indian stuff?
Yeah. So in this case, I'll give it context. So we're talking about personhood for a river and the complications around that. But then you interjected with this great point: is that, do we even understand it well enough to say, yeah, it deserves this title? We talked about all kinds of complications related to that. Can it really even be classified as a person? We talked about many things that how a river cannot be a person. But more importantly, I think that is that key thing that you said. We don't even understand it well enough to be, I guess to be telling what it is or it isn't. And then further, you said that the law that's kind of being created I guess around the idea of personhood was just a form of power and control under some legal authority. Now that in itself just kind of negates a lot of ideas related to cultural pursuits, because I mean, to write a law about ceremonial things, for an example, we can't do that. That's not where that thing is housed, because number one, I guess I'd ask myself the question: do I understand it enough to be an authoritative person, to write, to commit it to American or Canadian or to written law? That's huge, man. That's like that. It seems in a way to me, it seems pompous to say, I understand this well enough. I can write a paragraph about it, and then it is law.
Yeah. Maybe I accidentally said something smart, you know?
Well, I mean, that's debatable. And that's what I'm asking you right now again. Think about that statement you said, and in relation to what you know about ceremonial practice, but not even that, even outside of the ceremonial practice, into the everyday native life. How much authority do you feel you have, or even someone else who's like the most versed in that topic, to commit it to a piece of paper and say, this is what it is? Would they do that? That's the question.
No,
I don't think
they
so.
would. Yeah. And I even in my current position as kind of like a cultural head for the tribe, I don't think I have any authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the power of resource law and like using whatever loopholes in the law or whatever avenues in the law to gain some sort of authority or say. I think, see, I used to think like the law was tricky, right? So,
yeah.
So for example, like this idea of personhood, and like if I published, or if not published, but if I gave a talk one day and I said, hey man, this idea of creating a river and giving it personhood is nonsense.
Yeah.
There was a time I would have not said that because I felt like it would have hurt the case, but that's not how the law works.
Right.
The law isn't predicated on that. So just like in a murder case, right? Like it's really not the pursuit of whether you did the crime or whether you didn't do the crime. It's is there enough evidence to prove that? And so just like in this case with personhood, it's not our job in the Indian community to say, is that even a thing or not a thing? But for the sake of law, Is there enough evidence to prove that? And I think that's where we need to focus, because sometimes we can get caught in like these real like minute details to where we work ourselves out of something, you know?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah. But on the flip side, here's the scary part about doing this stuff with ceremony, is you create doctrine. You unknowingly create doctrine in ceremony by doing these kinds of things. Yeah. Because that's not how ceremony works. That's not how cultural history works. That's not how religious practices work for tribal people. They're living, right? So that means that whether we admit it or not, they evolve. Yeah. Now the nucleus might stay the same. I actually heard that today. This guy, the nucleus, he said, our ceremonies, our nucleus might stay the same, but they've changed over time. And he's the head of the Crow Tobacco Society and all the ceremonies involved in that. And so coming from him, that was a powerful statement, Yeah. He said that to me in my office. And I thought that was refreshing in a way for me to hear him say that. So this idea that what is personhood to us now may not be personhood to us in 20 years and might not even be the same in 10 years. Yeah. So I feel like we have to be a little more cautious about using the law for the sake of authority, because we can unknowingly create doctrine for our own culture. Yeah. You know what I mean? I do. And I think the tribal governments, the tribal government structure that was handed to tribes through the IRA, the Constitution. I think folks embrace that too much as, like you said, like doctrine, Well, we got to follow the Constitution, the tribal Constitution. What does the tribal Constitution say? We should follow that, or using that as an argument point, especially when it comes into things of a cultural nature. You see that, but also you see it when in what is it? Like resource law, like hunting laws, tribal hunting laws. Those all of a sudden get thought of as like a traditional practice. Like at one point in time, I can't remember the exact date, but there was a buck law that the state had passed to where you could only shoot bucks and you couldn't shoot does. And you can imagine the surprise by those that still living off the land that, well, guy, you need fresh meat, and it doesn't, it's irrelevant to a written document whether or not you can hunt a doe or not. But then all of a sudden, you fast forward to the future, and then folks think that might have been the traditional practice. Like you said, it's exactly what you said. It becomes indoctrinated. And yeah, you see that. You can see that also in I don't know. I guess you could think of it in terms of like someone researching some past tradition. So they read it somewhere, and somewhere it says that this was done at a certain time, and then it becomes solidified that was only done at that certain time because it was written without understanding the context of the time period. Yeah. So there's that. And then there's the statement further that you said about, okay, well, that's a form of like trying to gain some power and control over whatever, right? So this idea of personhood, this idea of laws to control whatever hunting practices, I don't know, whatever. They even created a law to control the gambling on the res. They said you guys, Indians, and this is tribal government, Indians can only play stick game on Sundays. That was a law passed on a reservation by a tribal government. Of course, this was back, I think, in the 50s or 40s or something, trying to keep Indians from drinking, I guess. I don't know. But so if we fast forward today and we see
a number of people writing things about Indian stuff, and the consumers of that are reading these things, and then they think that that's it. They think that's what it is, and there's no flexibility around that. That's dangerous, like you said, very dangerous. So what then is the solution? What's the solution? Is there one?
I don't know.
You're the expert, man. I brought you here tonight to supply answers.
Because I don't know what you would do, because we're still going to use the law. We're going to use the legal system for any gain. Yeah, we have to. It's our only.
Yeah.
It's our only rook in the game, right? We don't,
because
we don't really have a queen. I mean, but
well, Canada does.
Oh, come on.
Anyway, go ahead. Keep going. Okay. Yeah, it's our only rook in the game.
So I think it's very possible.
Yeah.
For us to believe in a system that we know is completely flawed and not the best. And I think that's what's happening. I think somehow people have adopted this like belief in everything, whether it's people, social customs, research.
Yeah.
And Indian people have adopted this to where we have to believe in something the same all the time. Like, we can't have duality, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's possible for us to believe in the law, the letter of the law, and not believe in it at the same time.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, I feel like that's where I stand. I stand in this place where I acknowledge that these things are the best practices for the moment in that realm.
Yeah.
But I also believe that there's a whole nother thing that doesn't necessarily affect, and it's possible to live at the same time in them. Just like it's possible to be, we say it's not possible to be like a Catholic and a medicine man, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I've come to kind of believe this, but the fact is there are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whether that's our own personal belief, and we can make these arguments, like we could say, well, is it really possible? Are you 100% this or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But it's still the fact that in practice, there still are people who are practitioners of culture and they're Catholic.
Yeah.
And we can't argue with that. That's an unarguable fact.
Yeah.
So just like you can have the law and know it's not good for your tribe or not good necessarily for your people, but it's still there and it still functions and it still works. So I think somehow we've adopted this belief that there's only one truth. Just like you can still be intelligent and productive and be flawed. Like we don't believe that that's possible for someone to be both.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't believe that about the law. We don't believe that about our own culture and our own ceremonies. I don't know where we get that from.
Yeah. That's a strange one. And that's like, well, okay. So it's like this too. It's like fighting back against this idea of, we had the one episode where we talked about walking in two worlds.
Yeah.
You remember that? You kind of went off. You kind of had a moment. And you said,
what did I say?
What did I say? You don't even remember. You must have blacked out. No, he said, we don't. It's one world. I live and breathe in one world. There ain't no two worlds.
In this case, I thought you were making fun of me for saying that. I guess.
Well, no, I am, but no, I'm not.
In that case, that's true. Like, right? Like, there's not this idea that like there's my Indian hat and there's my white guy hat. It's really both. It's always happening at one time.
Yeah.
Now, is it possible that we're in the first 4 or 5 generations of having to negotiate that? Yeah, that's a fact, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I think that's an important thing to note. That's an important thing for people to understand. And I think, and I think natives do it too. And I think we try to fit ourselves into that hat from the past and the hat from the now. But we're not, man. I don't think we are. When we're not those people from the past. We wake up every morning and to an alarm clock, which is a colonial construct. Colonial, I said it.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I know. I tried.
Wah, wah.
Colonial. Anyway, yeah. So it surrounds us. It surrounds us every day. So
yeah, I agree.
Show me the one person who's traditional, ultra tradish, in the way of our ancestors. You're not going to find one person like that. No way. And I challenge anyone. No, I better not. Anyway, yeah. So then we're stuck with this weird. We're in this weird place. Now I want you to listen to this clip.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
You're just ready. Here we go.
I'm super ready.
You're super ready. All right. Well, let's super play it.
I'm real skeptical of any time. I'm skeptical anytime these major political powerhouses like US, Canada, Australia, Russia, like if they're going to hand something, and I'm using the term hand something loosely, but to tribal people, like what's the catch?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
Because if it's personhood, that means that it's subject to all things in personhood. That means a beginning and an end. It can have a death.
Yeah. So skeptical of, I guess, what we have to do. So this navigation of this legal structure, of this social structure, we have this inherent.
Oh, dude, I thought it was still the recording.
You thought it's still going? Come on, man. Look at your screen. Okay, you can't see the screen in it.
No, I can see. Can you see me? I can see you. But I had my head down and I was
contemplating.
Geez, I was in deep thought, eh?
I can't even remember what I was going to say. I can't remember what you said now. Wait, let me listen to that again real quick. The first part.
I'm real skeptical of any time. I'm skeptical anytime these major political powerhouses like US, Canada, Australia, Russia, like if they're going to hand something, and I'm using the term hand something loosely, but to tribal people, like what's the catch?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So I think the history of Indians dealing with the government, there's this inherent thought that we're getting tricked, we're getting bamboozled in some way. So hoodwinked.
I thought it was hoodwigged.
Is it hoodwigged? I don't know. There was a show called Hoodwinked.
That was a cartoon, wasn't it?
That's a cartoon. That's why I thought it was that. I don't know. What I was gonna say about that? God darn, I forgot now already. We have this skepticism about it, and man, what was I gonna say? I forgot already. God dang it. Anyway, some thoughts on that. Maybe I'll jostle it free.
I think I still agree with that.
Well, yeah, I do too. Like we have the skepticism, and I think how does that affect what we do?
You know, it's weird about about a law like this, and then just working now within kind of this whole world of resource management. A law like this personhood thing ultimately probably won't do anything.
Okay.
It'll be like a toothless law. But for Indian people, it will. Like we'll be sitting at home and it'll give us this sense of like whatever, and that's where it'll affect us. And in the non-Indian world, it'll have no effect on anything. In fact, most of what I see, life goes on as it is. The business as usual will go on. So it makes me wonder, though, what the trade-off is for something like this. Because so if we like pursue these laws and these designations, whether it's personhood or traditional cultural property or a cultural landscape or whatever, these designations are eligibility for the National Register. However, were you going to use our work to get a designation? Ultimately, that means there's a trade-off. And in what I'm seeing now in my work as a preservation officer, that's always what it is a trade-off.
Okay.
But I think you're getting at that anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was. That was the question. What are we trading off when we prescribe to the written law that we have to navigate anyway? So let's establish something. We have to do it. We have to operate within the law of whatever respective nation that we are a part of, including our own. Let's put our own nations in there. So the Crow Nation and the CSKT both have codified laws and constitutions, right? Is that right? Am I right saying that? Crow tribe has codified laws and a constitution, yeah? Yeah. And you got to follow that.
Well, yeah. Under the 1934 Indian Reorganization Act, it required that you have these certain kinds of facets of your government.
Yeah.
But the Crows did not.
Yeah.
They did not accept the IRA, so a non-IRA tribe, meaning we had the right to choose what type of government we had. Yeah. We ultimately, in the long run, chose a 3-branch government mirroring the United States government, which doesn't work.
The glory of the U.S. government, founded in an Iroquois tradition. Is that right? I don't know. Is that debatable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's very debatable. I think.
Yeah. Well, anyway, moving on from that. So we have to operate from this layer of laws: federal, state, and tribal. That's the Indian reality. Those 3 layers of tribal law, and in doing so, we make a trade-off. And I think because we're not willing to make a trade-off for certain things have not been committed to law. And I think, and I don't know, maybe I'm way off, but I think this idea of this personhood for a river, because the statement you said, I don't understand it. I don't know if why it hasn't really gained. It wasn't even an option like in the time of the 2-3 generations before us. They never said when they wrote the Constitution, oh yeah, write in that the Flathead River is a person too. That was never written into the law because it wasn't even a concept or a thought. Because I think because of all the things we said in that episode. Because I don't think we're willing to trade off certain things. But I don't know if the belief was held that it was even a thing back then. I don't know though. So what have we traded off then? That's the question. What have we traded off by adopting?
And I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah, I don't. What do you think? What have we traded off?
You weren't paying attention, were you?
No, I was. But I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I don't know either.
I think maybe we just traded off leaving them alone. So for whatever reason whatever the pursuit was for getting the personhood, typically had to do with the protection of something, right?
Yeah.
Or to give the river rights.
Well, I mean, I wasn't speaking specifically about personhood for river. I'm thinking about in general when a tribe caved into the pressures of the government and
the trade-off's usually money.
Trade-off was money. But so
typically
okay,
it's money.
But what did the tribes lose also in that trade?
Sovereign immunity. I don't know. We got to give a shout out
to what?
We got a dedicated listener in Bloomington, Indiana, named Tommy D.
Tommy D. What up, Tommy D?
Yeah, Tommy D. So give Tommy D a little message. Send him a little shout out.
Tommy, I'm gonna do some slam poetry about Tommy D.
Oh, dude,
Tommy D. Yeah, we're bouncing on my knee, and I said, "Does Abraham Lincoln know?" I couldn't think of nothing else. I don't know, man. I can't do slam poetry.
His donkey says, "Whoa, Tommy D. Oh, Tommy D. E. D comes before E. E equals MC squared. Tommy D."
Oh.
Tommy D.
Yes. Oh, also, Wild Gallery. Wild Gallery.
Wild Gallery in Oklahoma or Texas?
Texas, I believe.
Texas, yeah.
Wild Gallery in Texas. Larry. Let's do a little shout out to Wild Gallery. Yeah, it's in Texas. Wild Art Gallery. Helping to sponsor some of the things we got going on here. So yeah, head on over to
what town is it in?
Austin, Texas.
Okay, so when you're in Austin, Texas, you guys go and stop at Wild Gallery, Art Gallery.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Get over there. Tell them that Tribal reach you, that you're there. You're there because you heard us on the pod. and just to circle back to old Tommy D. I don't know anything about Tommy D. Okay. All I know is my nephew Jacob's over there and said, "Hey, Tommy D likes your podcast, listens to the podcast, supports the podcast. So thank you, Tommy D. And and good luck in Bloomington, whatever it is you're doing in Bloomington."
Thanks, Tommy D. And Wild Gallery. WYLD.gallery.com. I think it's. I think that's it. So
Tribal Research Specialist for sale. Send us your money and we'll say anything you want us to.
We'll slam poetry.
Yeah.
Your significant other. We've got a slam poetry service.
We need a pancake house we need a coffee house to do this, to get us a sponsorship.
So I think you don't know what I'm fishing for. I don't know what I'm fishing.
Just hit me with your best shot.
I don't know. You got to hit me with your best shot.
Oh yeah. You sounded like Tonka.
Oh yes. That was the goal. Yeah, I mean we got rid of some things, some pretty important things. And one of those was I think something that was really this idea of social order and social control, I think, was lost in that exchange. But I think it was I think it might have been on the way out anyway, just because of just how things are being modernized anyway. I don't know though. I just don't know. But to assign authority in a way, well, okay, but the Crows don't do it in a similar way that I'm accustomed to on a CSKT, right?
I don't know.
So there isn't a vote, like someone nominates themselves or applies to be on a council, and then people vote, and that person might win and become. What do you do? What do you got? Got yourself a nice roach on there.
Yeah, well, we're talking Indian. I figure I better get Indian.
Get Indianed up, man.
I would. Yeah. Crows, like people run for positions, right? We have a legislative body. We have. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just run for the position, and then
That's it,
it's
right?
voted on through like the public. The public votes, not
Yeah.
the. So under the Crow Constitution, anyone over the age of 18 is the general council.
Yeah.
So we're all the general council.
Okay. Anybody can vote, and anybody can run for an office.
Yes, you have to pay your filing fee.
You have to pay your filing fee, but you decide
Yeah.
whether you're going to run or not.
Yeah, this is where I would say that the Crow form of government is really entwined with Crow culture. And I don't know if this is necessarily good or bad. So the way it happens is one of your clan fathers or something will come to you a lot of the times and say they want you to run. And a lot of times there are these little meetings. People will say, "Hey, we're all going to meet at this guy's house. We want you to be there." Yeah. So you'll go there. I'm not saying this has happened to me, but
yeah,
basically say we've been talking about it. We want you to run for such and such position.
Yeah,
and typically they'll pay your filing fee, and then you run.
And so is that it's
not a formal part of the process. It's
yeah. That's what I was wondering.
It's not. In fact, it can get really weird because there's cases where a lot of people that don't typically want to run for anything, but they respect the culture, that they'll say, "Well, what my clan came to me and they said they wanted me to run, so I'm going to run."
And so, do people also run just on their own without?
Oh yeah.
So that happens as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So there's a mix.
And it's happening. It's a mix, but what I'm saying is, like, it's not totally independent like we're thinking. Like any person can run, because there's also been cases like, for example, like if I was to run for, let's say, a vice chairman of the Crow tribe, right?
Yeah.
And then my brother-in-law was going to run for the vice chairman of the Crow tribe. Yeah. And it's my sister's husband.
Yeah.
I'm obligated, at least the way I understand Crow belief, I would be obligated to bow out. I'm not going to run against my brother-in-law.
Okay. But none of these things are written.
No, they're not written. No. They're these kind of unwritten.
Yeah.
You know the old adage.
The old adage. I don't know it. What does it say?
Well,
no, I'm just kidding. I know what it means. So that's the thing. That's the thing. So there's some things that are not written into law, but they're still practiced to a certain extent.
And feeds over here. Feeds. So like when you're running, if you don't feed, you're probably not going to win.
Right.
Like public feeds, having these public feeds. Come and eat. Come and make a plate. Hey, tell your family, come and make a plate. Blah, 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 blah. I'm cooking a beef. I'm donating a beef to our district. Blah, blah, blah. But come and make a plate.
Hand out a box of oranges.
Yeah, like actually literally like hand out groceries. Because in the old days, during the chief system, leaders were people who could provide those things.
Yeah.
Or had the skill to say, hey, I brought this in, and I'm going to distribute it amongst you,
Mm-hmm. So what would be the issue if that was written as law or as part of the process of selection of leaders?
I think it could really affect the organic form of leadership.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do.
A good example is my great-grandfather. His name was Max Bigman. He was never a chairman. He was never an elected official. But anyone from that time, from the mid 1920s to about 1950, understood Max Bigman to be like the leader, especially of those, what they were calling the River Crow people, or like the Crow Agency, Reno District people. Yeah. He was the leader. It was across the board that most people seen him as the head man. But he wasn't elected. They had the council, they had the executive, the chairman, the vice chairman and stuff.
Yeah.
So we still kind of have these people who are headmen.
Yeah.
So if you want certain families, you'll pursue the headmen of those families.
Right.
And in some cases, women, it's not necessarily determined by men or women, but so they'll call those people and say, hey, we need your votes. Because if you come, and that's how it works. Like a lot of families, my family doesn't do this, but a lot of families will get together.
Yeah.
They'll have a family meeting. They'll say such and such is running.
Yeah.
We're going to vote this way. So basically the patriarch or the matriarch of that family is deciding for the whole family how they're going to vote. Because in the old days, they would have followed that leader. They'll say, we're going to follow him. He's our chief. He's our leader. We're going to follow him.
Yeah.
So
writing those things down, making them part of the tribal law or tribal constitution as it is today would not be a benefit to that process, because you say it should be an organic process. So implying that it's not a rigid or a static process, that there's something about it that's changing, or that's there's flexibility.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know how to articulate that part of it. I don't really know, but yeah, you're on to the right thing. Like there's something there,
Yeah.
So if we like write a process down, we could inadvertently alter the natural system. And I don't know if we want to necessarily do that, because I also I don't necessarily believe it's the right thing to do. Like, I don't think the way we're doing it, the unofficial way we're doing it, is probably not the right way or not the best way to do it.
Right. So it would alter it in some fashion. This is what I'm trying to understand. I mean, I understand it, but I'm trying to for the listener to draw it out. So what would change about writing it down? How would that system be altered?
What doesn't evolve?
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't evolve, and it needs to evolve, right?
Yeah. For example, Crows are pretty stubborn about people speaking Crow.
Yeah.
So 30 years ago, if someone ran for chairman who didn't speak Crow, they wouldn't even have a chance. They didn't even have a chance.
Yeah.
Now that's not the case. Had we written laws back then saying these are the requirements to be our leader, you limit the pool, plus you take the vote away from the individual. So the individual might say, well, I wanted that guy. I wanted to follow that individual.
Yeah.
And they may not speak Crow or may not even be traditional.
Yeah.
If you're saying, well, no, we have to pick this. They have to wear a cowboy hat, or they have to do, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, it's like you don't want to inadvertently stunt the system.
If you don't wear a King Roper hat, you ain't got. Yeah.
If you don't wear King Rope's hat, you ain't worth it. You ain't coming around here.
Yeah,
we don't like your kin around here.
We don't wear Wrangler hats. It's King Ropes.
We don't wear King Ropes around here, pard.
So that's the big issue, I think, and just to I guess apply some more evidence to this idea that we talked about personhood for a river. Number one, we don't understand it. So that's far different thing than what we're talking about right here. This is human stuff. Stuff. And we barely even understand some of those things. I mean, we understand them seem like per generation, we understand certain things, but things evolve. And I think, and let me know from your knowledge of your ways and of your people, was there a lot of evolution in prehistoric times of that social order, or that the humanness things?
Well, okay, so that's a tricky one because that's acting under the assumption that I know that, right?
Yeah. And that's an important statement. So keep going. What's the next tricky thing about it?
So the next tricky thing is that prior to the horse, we know that cultural evolution happened. It probably happened quite a bit slower, and then when the horse came, it ramped everything up, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And really, from the time of the horse to now is only a couple hundred years. So you figure about the amount of cultural evolution that happened in 250 years, 300 years. That's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
That's like a lot of change. And the fact that we're still here and we kind of still have a pretty basic understanding of who we are, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable. And in fact, that there's ceremonies that exist where those objects they're holding or they're using come from the time before that. That's nuts, man. That's so wild. That's so wild. Like, it's
say it, man.
I mean, it's nuts, dude.
It is. And this was the thing I thought. If somebody asked me that question just now, like, okay, what about, prehistory, all that. And, I've come to evolve as getting older, as a young man, you always think, oh yeah, the past and all these cool things about the past. But you really start to evolve into understanding, well, right now is really, really super important. And I guess understanding about those past things is also important. But then I think, go ahead. Yeah. Say it.
Dude, I'm going to say it. Like, I know that we look back at our past and we say, like, those were the people. But I guarantee you, the individuals that have kept culture alive and kept their identity alive now have done far more than any of them.
What do you mean? In what way?
They didn't have to negotiate what we're negotiating. In the last 100 years.
Yeah.
125 years, right?
Yeah.
The people before that, their only competition was their own way of life.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, it could be violent. There was intertribal war. There was disease. Those are the things that are negotiated. Now, we're negotiating not only all the dysfunction, but all the badass stuff that society brings, like iPhones and fucking nano mics and bicycles and fucking, dude, like, it's just so much stuff. It's so much stuff that tells us it inadvertently tells us not to be who we are.
Yeah.
Yet we find a way to still make things work, man.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
crazy to me.
It is. It's remarkable. And so what I was thinking is, if somebody asks me that question, sometimes I think, I wonder what it is. But then the bigger part of me thinks, well, who cares? Because that time is over. not as in, who cares? Let go of the past. But right now, man, we're operating in the now.
No, you're right. Who cares?
Yeah. 12,000 years ago. What? Who cares?
I mean, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, ultimately we do care, but really we don't care. Like, so I mean, we care, but we don't care.
Yeah.
So as a preservation officer, of course, that's my job. I have to care.
You have to care about
But as an individual, my job is still dealing with the now. Right now.
Yes. So the laws, the things that you have to write, policy you guide, it's for the now. It's not for the 200 years ago. It's for the now. So this idea
I like this conversation.
I do, because this is what I've been thinking about. And it's all related to how we represent ourselves on a daily basis. So you represent your ways and your thoughts in a unique situation. You're home, but you're navigating in this world of federal and state tribal policy, right? That's what you do. That's the nature of your work. I'm sitting here in an academic institution and I'm navigating the same kind of things, same kind of laws and those kind of stuff, but not on that level. But I'm navigating these weird layers of academic understanding of pretty much about Indian things. And I have to try to guide the thought and the ideas about Indian things into what matters. And there's always this backward slip of, well, what did your ancestors do? And I'm not saying that's not shouldn't be an important thing, but it's like trying to place a process from even 50 years ago into now is difficult. So when you're looking back into a time when the economy was functioning, where we weren't in a capitalistic neoliberal whatever word the academics use these days. Yeah, we're in today, man. So that's where the challenge is. That's where the academic challenge is, and it seems like that's kind of where the challenges is in your work is navigating the tribal need of today in this weird tribal government that you have, this weird tribal government all tribes have. But we always get this question, and you hear it now, and I bet you're going to hear it tomorrow. Something about the past. Well, what about the past? It reminds me of Powwow Highway. Remember, he goes visits his auntie, or is it his great aunt? Hey, auntie, tell me about the old days or something. And she's like, everybody's always coming here asking for good old Indian wisdom. Well, I ain't got none. Now get the hell out.
Yeah, I love that. That lady's hair is too cool too.
Yeah. She reminds me of that fed up person, like, okay, it's over. It's gone. All that stuff you want to know, it's over. I mean, sure, we want to know it. And we want to try to still retain a lot of those things for today. But man, we got some work to do about the problems of today. We're not worried about what we don't know from the past. I don't know, man. No, I don't know. I don't know if I'm fully characterizing my thoughts. So last clip. You ready? Then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Here it is. Ready?
Ready.
He's ready.
Ready, Freddy.
Man, I don't know. So this is the thing, what you just said, and it's important. You're just talking about Aaron, and I don't want, like I said, you got to support what we have and the people who try hard, and I can't criticize nobody, but we have to be cautious and move forward in a manner that's going to benefit what is important. And sometimes I think, and this is my thought, is we can get a little too performative.
Okay. So this is the thing. And this is where we stand. And I think this might be a turning point in our future episodes. Because I think we've been gentle. On issues. This is me now. It's not the recording, and you know that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I got you.
We've been gentle. We haven't been that critical of things that we see. I mean, I don't think we have. I don't think we've been that critical. But that's got to change. It's got to change. I'm going to put some flute music in the background. Is that, you got flute music in the background? What is that?
Well, you're starting to feel the gospel a little bit. No, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm going to put that in there because that's a good one. Yeah. No, I think it's got to change, and I think we got to change the way in which we speak about things that matter to us. And sometime I think maybe we got to be a bit more vocal in a way, and not sugarcoat some of our thoughts and ideas.
I think that's true. And what I can already understand people. I mean, people would be like, "Well, we don't want you to get harsh." I think that also is.
What did you say? We don't want you guys
to get. Yeah, we don't want you guys to get harsh.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's important to say that criticism and that, like, we're not going to be nice, that counts towards us too. I think we have to be critical to ourselves too. Like we I don't know, man. Like it's weird. I wouldn't say we lie. We don't lie, obviously, but you censor what you're saying sometimes.
Yeah. I do for sure.
And I mean, it's a fact. It's a fact that we are too performative as Native people.
Mm-hmm.
We've somehow adopted this idea that in all things we do, we have to have an audience.
Yeah.
And then for some reason we still cater to non-Indian people, which when I say that, I think people assume that I mean something like I have something against white people. I just don't understand why Native people don't put themselves first in their own stuff.
Yeah. It's like
you know what I mean?
No, I do know what you mean.
So
I do know what you mean. That's like when I go to work every day, I have to flip a switch, the code switch, to talk a certain way.
Living in two worlds.
No, I don't turn on the two worlds switch. That's for that's like the panic button. You pull out the two worlds card. I don't get it. I live in two worlds. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't flip that switch. No, but when there's truly dialogue, truly discussion that's of Indian things, you know it, you're in it, and you feel the progress being made. And but I think one thing that's lacking in that is our ability to criticize and to take criticism and to take it as a positive thing. It's usually taken as a like I'm trying to put you down or pull you down. And I think historically it's been like that thought, that oppressive thought that if you criticize somebody's work, well, they're instantly going to be on the defensive and say, well, you're just trying to pull me down. You're not trying to support me. When in fact, maybe that is the intent, is to say, well, I want to explore this idea. I'm going to argue against some things that you're saying. It's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of us trying to advance forward.
Yeah, I think it's important for us and for our listeners to understand the difference between hate and criticism.
Yeah,
it's tough, man. I know. I'm a typical Indian dude where I've had to struggle with that whole idea of criticism and like taking criticism, and man, it was tough. Sometimes it still is tough, you know.
It is. No, it is. Yeah.
So, but you have to. I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to take it in order to grow, dude. It just sucks. So I mean,
there was some desperation in that.
I just want to be good at everything I do. I don't. Like I'm drinking Pepto.
Ulcers are acting up.
Yo, ulcers. What's an ulcer?
I have no idea. Just what everybody says. Something in the stomach, sore in the stomach, maybe. I don't know.
Damn, Pepto's good.
It is. I remember when I was a kid, I used to remember them little tablets. Good. Them little tablets.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it was like candy. Start eating those. Can't stop.
I know. When we used to go to IHS dental, and they would give us toothpaste.
Yeah.
And it tasted like candy, man. We would like just squeeze the toothpaste, just let's like and then,
yeah. Chapstick too was like that. It's like candy.
Oh,
you eat chapstick. You do that?
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember eating glue, dude.
Yeah.
Paste.
Yeah. It's good.
I also remember I used to love sniffing clay. Like in class, they'd give you clay and you'd mess with clay, man. I used to just put that on my nose and just take a big old deep breath. Sometimes I wish, when people say, oh, they don't have no regrets or they wouldn't do anything over, I think that's a dude.
Yeah.
Why? There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff I do over. No, I mean, a lot of stuff.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
there is.
And Yeah, this is quite a bit. But one thing that I liked school when I was young.
Yeah, me too.
Going to school. I remember like looking forward to going to school.
Yeah.
And actually I'd probably do that over again. That like second to like fourth or fifth grade. That
Yeah.
oh dude, that was the best.
It was.
It was the best.
It was. It was an escape for me, I was like, God damn, hey,
Yeah.
get out of the crazy home life,
There was some of that too for me. I don't think it was as bad as my neighbors and everything, but
yeah.
I remember, I mean, yeah, I remember people like that was the only meal they got,
Yeah. Didn't get yelled
for
at.
them, didn't get yelled at, didn't get cigarettes put out on them, or things were rough for people. And I remember, that's why I always remembered like growing up and thinking like I had it pretty good. Looking back on it, I had a very typical reservation life, and like what a lot of people would probably say is like rough and all that, but it didn't feel that way because you're always comparing yourself to your neighbor.
I know. There's always that neighbor that just got it.
Rough.
That
or like I always think, here you're complaining about your life, and then your mom's taking care of your cousins. So
I know.
Well, obviously they they have something worse, So you got cousins living with you or whatever. So even there was always like that reality check in your living room,
Man, that's so stereotypical, but it's true.
It's true.
It's true, man. It's not even a stereotype. It's true. It is true. Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up there, man. Because I got
off track there at the end.
No, that's good though. Because I don't know. I was just winging it today. I had some things, but kind of went off the rails. But that's all right.
We do our best work when we're winging.
I think so too. Yeah. I got some more building ideas. So, let's keep going, man. We'll keep going. I think we should get back to it, and I think we should apply this, dial up the criticism a bit. Yeah, he's still what?
I still want to do I want to do like a second part to that death practices stuff.
Yeah, let's do it. And I'm gonna pin you down to a time, and you're just gonna have to just suck it up, and you just have to do it, man. Yeah. All right, we're gonna do it. Okay. So coming up, more on death.
Yeah. Peace out. Thank you.
All right.
See you, Shandin.
All right. Take it easy.
Later. All right, man. Good night.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. I want to take some time to thank some of our Patreon sponsors. We've got Emma LaFave, Ryan Swanson, Marzana J, Rachel Holster, Todd Davis, Louise Erdrich, Jason Friage, and Mary Bobbitt. Thank you so much for your continued contribution to help keep the show on the air. And I also want to take time to thank some of our past sponsors. We've had Annie Ost pitching in. Thank you for your donation. And also Brian Carpenter, additional thank you for pitching in and helping the show stay on the air.